You know, if you're looking for a perfect case study of how a country can completely overhaul an old industry for the digital age, you really have to look at Ireland right now.
Absolutely.
We're going to break down what is truly a historic shift in their online gaming regulation.
And it's not just a minor policy update.
Not at all. It's a tech-savvy nation, basically rebuilding the entire legal foundation of its iGaming market from scratch.
And we're excited to get into the data with you. Just for context, we are the Gambling Databases research team. We're a group that focuses on delivering these really in-depth analyses of the global iGaming landscape.
Right.
So in each country report, we look at everything: local regulations, tax, player experience, what it's like for operators, and new trends.
The whole picture.
Exactly. Our goal is just to provide a clear, data-driven understanding of how the industry actually works in each market and, what makes it unique.
And that context is so important here because the scale of this change is just, well, it's staggering.
It really is.
Ireland's new framework, the Gambling Regulation Act 2024, is throwing out rules that were written in 1931 and 1956.
Think about that for a second. Almost a century of old, analog-era law, just gone.
Tossed out for a modern, digital-first approach.
And what's really fascinating is the institutional change that comes with it. This whole thing establishes the Gambling Regulatory Authority of Ireland, the GRA.
Right, the GR.
They officially got going in March 2025, and this new body doesn't just, hand out licenses. It centralizes all the enforcement.
Which basically makes Ireland a single unified white market for the first time.
It does. And for operators, this new legitimacy, it comes with a very, very high price for failure.
High is an understatement. We're talking fines up to, what, 20 million?
20 million euros, or 10% of global annual turnover, whichever is higher.
Wow.
So that sets an incredibly serious tone. Compliance is no longer just a suggestion, it's existential.
So that's what we're going to unpack today from our research. What does this all mean for operators? Where are the real opportunities in this rich market? And where are the big pitfalls that could sink a business?
Let's start with the structure.
Okay, the framework and why the Irish player is so appealing. The core change is this move to unified licensing, right?
Yes, so B2C, business to consumer, and B2B, business to business, all handled by the GRAI.
And the licenses are valid for 3 years. But I'm guessing they're not just giving them away.
Not at all. The application process involves really detailed scrutiny of, well, everything. Financial health, corporate integrity, even their technical standards.
So the focus from the GRAI is clearly on player protection and integrity.
That's the main thing. It means operators have to have these very comprehensive, multi-step, know your customer KYC and anti-money laundering procedures.
The bare minimum won't cut it anymore.
No. And the key piece of new infrastructure, which is a huge technical lift, is the mandatory integration with a national self-exclusion register.
Yeah.
Every single operator has to do it.
Okay, integrating with a national register sounds like a great idea for responsible gaming, but how hard is that, really, from a technical side?
That's a great question.
Does it become a huge bottleneck for everyone?
It can be. It's a massive technical hurdle, especially for, say, a mid-size operator running on older systems. It needs constant real-time data syncing.
So if a user opts out anywhere, they're immediately blocked everywhere.
Instantly, across all platforms in the country. It's not a passive list you just check once in a while. It's a huge investment, but it's completely non-negotiable.
All right, so that's the compliance burden. A pretty heavy one. Now let's talk about the payoff. The players.
Yes.
Ireland's a small country, just over 5 million people.
Right, but what they lack in numbers, they more than make up for in spending power.
I saw the numbers. Their GDP is strong, about $450 billion, and the average household income is over $68,000. This is a high-value market.
And you see that reflected directly in their spending. The average revenue per user, or ARPU, is estimated at a huge 740 euros a year.
740 euros.
Yeah. If you're an operator looking to enter a new regulated European market, that kind of per capita spend is exactly what justifies those steep entry costs.
And they're digitally fluent, I take it.
Oh, completely. The tech adoption is fantastic. Internet penetration is over 92%,
Wow.
and smartphone penetration is around 85%. Plus, you've got a highly educated population. Literacy's near 99%. 40% have a university-level education.
And they spend a lot of time online.
Over 4 hours a day. On average. So they get mobile payments, they understand digital platforms, you don't have to hold their hand.
Sounds like a dream demographic. So what are they spending that money on?
Well, our data shows about 60% of adult internet users gamble in some form each year.
And the top activities.
Pretty much what you'd expect.
Yeah.
Sports betting is number one, followed very closely by online casino games, so slots and tables, and then the lottery.
Which brings us to a really crucial point, something that makes the market so attractive from the player's perspective.
Yes,
Winnings aren't taxed for recreational players in Ireland.
that is the real game changer. That tax-free environment for the player dramatically boosts appeal and retention.
Right, because winnings are pure profit, not taxable income.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just makes the whole thing much more attractive compared to places where you might get a big tax bill with a big win.
So to sum it up, we have this phenomenal player access score, a 9.5 out of 10. The players are wealthy, educated, digital natives, and they keep everything they win.
That's the upside.
But that's where the good news slows down a bit, because now we have to talk about what it actually costs to operate there.
This is where things get tricky.
Right. So let's look at the critical challenges, the things that drag the operator E-score down to a 7.3 out of 10.
And we have to start with payment methods. There are some hard truths here. The 2024 Act introduces pretty significant friction by just straight up prohibiting the use of credit cards for gambling.
A total ban. That's huge. Credit cards are often the easiest way for people to deposit.
They are.
If you take that away, don't you risk pushing some people back to, unregulated sites?
You absolutely introduce friction. Operators have to be ready to pivot users to other methods
So e-wallets.
immediately. The reliance shifts dramatically onto things like PayPal, Skrill, and of course bank transfers. They're common, but they're not as seamless. They're more steps.
And if that wasn't enough of a headache, let's talk about actually acquiring customers. The advertising rules are aggressive.
Extremely. They've introduced a broadcast watershed. Gambling ads are banned on TV and radio from 5:30 in the morning all the way until 9:00 at night.
Wait until 9 p.m. That wipes out almost all of prime time. That includes most major live sports.
It does. So if you're a big sports book sponsoring a rugby match or a Premier League game, your best real-time ad window, that moment someone sees an ad and wants to place a bet, it's just gone.
Vanish.
Precisely. And that forces all the competition into the digital space,
So everyone's fighting for the same SEO keywords, the same social media space.
which naturally sends the customer acquisition cost, the C key, through the roof.
Mm.
New companies need massive digital ad budgets just to be heard.
Okay, so let's talk about the raw cost. The timeline alone sounds pretty long.
It is. You need a budget for the licensing process to take anywhere from 6 to 9 months.
9 months, that's a long time to have capital tied up before you even start. And what does that initial investment look like?
You're looking at between $300,000 and $500,000 for compliance, legal, and license fees.
And the license fee itself can be a big chunk of that.
Oh yeah, the high-tier license application fee alone can be €250,000.
Right.
And that's before you've taken a single bet.
And on top of all those fixed costs, there's a variable one that's hard to predict.
Yes, the mandatory contributions to the Social Impact Fund. This is a real risk because it's a cost separate from normal taxes.
And you don't know what it's going to be year to year.
Exactly. It's often a variable percentage of turnover, so it makes budgeting really difficult. You have to build in a big buffer for it.
Okay. High-value players, but high barriers to entry. To really understand if this is workable, we have to talk tax, because it creates this huge divide between casino and sports betting.
It does. But let's start with the positive. Ireland's standard corporate income tax is very competitive. It's just 12.5%.
That's a great baseline, very attractive.
It is.
But then you layer on the product-specific duties. Let's start with online casino. How does that look?
For casino operators, so slots, table games, it's actually quite favorable. They face a gross gaming revenue, or GGR, tax between 9% and 15%.
That's pretty reasonable.
It is. So you combine that GGR tax with the low corporate tax and the high player ARPU we talked about, and the verdict for a casino operator is viable. It's a genuine golden opportunity.
Okay, so casino is good, a golden opportunity. That brings us to let's call it the sportsbook nightmare.
A good way to put it.
This is the critical difference. Sports betting gets hit with a 2% betting duty on turnover.
And that is the one number you have to understand. Turnover is the total amount staked, not the operator's profit.
Not the GGR.
Not the GGR. And in sports betting, the GGR margins are famously thin. Maybe 8% to 10% of turnover if you're doing well.
Okay, so let's do the math. If an operator takes $100 million in bets, they pay $2 million in tax right off the top.
Right off the top, regardless of whether they won or lost money on those bets.
And if their margin is 10%, their GGR was only $10 million. So that tax just ate 20% of their actual revenue.
You've got it. It's a financial nightmare for the standard sportsbook model. When you add that turnover tax to the 12.5% corporate tax and the social fund fees, the effective tax rate on a sportsbook's GGR can shoot up to between 25% and 35%.
25 to 35%, that just fundamentally breaks the business model for a lot of sports books.
It makes the traditional high-volume, low-margin approach almost impossible to sustain.
So what do they do? Do they have to offer worse odds to survive?
That's the tough decision. You either have to get incredibly good at retention to lower your acquisition costs, or you pass the cost on through less attractive odds.
Which then makes you less competitive and risks sending those valuable players elsewhere.
Exactly. It's a very difficult balancing act.
So that's really the big trade-off in the Irish market laid bare. You get a stable, regulated white market with clear rules.
But the price of that legitimacy is steep.
Very steep, high compliance costs, a brutal marketing environment, and a tax system that basically forces you to specialize in casino or be incredibly well-funded to survive in sports betting.
It's a market that is, in many ways, built for the player. High income, tech-savvy, tax-free winnings. But for the operator, it is highly, highly demanding.
So here's the final question, something for you to think about as these new rules take hold.
Yeah.
Given that players have all these advantages, tax-free winnings, lots of disposable income, how will all this financial pressure on the operator shape the market over the next, say, 3 to 5 years?
It's the key question.
Will we see real innovation and competitive odds, or will they just have to pass all those costs on to the consumer? That's something to watch.
Definitely something to mull over.
Well, thank you for joining us for this analysis of the very complex, very dynamic Irish iGaming landscape.
And for the full text of this and our other country reports, please visit our website at gamblingdatabases.com.